Hello friends and welcome to episode 197 of the Noclip Crewcast. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you're missing out on the worst / best bobblehead I've ever seen. Jesse, why do you have an Austin Powers, the spy who shagged all of us, bobblehead?
Why would I not have it? A Canadian icon, Canadian-British icon, Mike Myers. It was at a retro store. I love collecting ugly merchandise, and this caught my eye. I had to have them.
Which, what does it say anything on them? Oh, behave or?
It says made in China.
Perfect.
This is actually the craziest thing. I turned it over thinking, who made this? Who made this awful Austin Powers? Funko. It's a Funko product.
What?
Right. I know.
Like before
back when they made
pops?
cool things.
Wow.
Pre-pop.
I just assumed they were all... I never assumed that there was a before Funko, a BF in our timeline.
They had a big meeting at corporate, and they were like, "Guys, I feel like there's too much realism, and we
I
need
feel
to
like we're
tone it
trying
down."
too hard. Could we like...
What if their eyes were
make them
just
all
black
generic?
circles?
Yeah.
It turns out it's actually it's a very
formula.
good business decision.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. It's time. Welcome to today's meeting of Funko Anonymous. Please say hello and how many Funko Pops you own. Frank, first of all, how many Funko Pops do you own?
I don't have any Funko Pops. I get so pissed off anytime I go to an anime store or a comic book store, and it's just walls and walls and walls of Funko. I think anytime I go to conventions, they'll give you free Funko Pops. I'll take them to book off or sell them. But
wow.
They're the bane of all collector stores. At least for me.
Jeremy, you don't strike me as a Funko guy.
I don't have a single Funko Pop. I have this is how little I am affiliated with Funko or like intimately acquainted with them. We got a little Doom guy figurine from ID when we went there. Is that I don't even know if that's a Funko.
As you were saying that, I was typing in Doom Imp Funko to see if it is a Funko, because I don't know if it is a Funko.
One. I wouldn't know a Funko if I saw one.
Sorry, there's the Imp and then there's the actual Doom guy one. Yeah. You're right, the Doom guy one. Is that an actual Funko Pop?
He has a big fat head. All right, so I guess I have one, but it was forced upon me.
It was free. That cost $50 on Amazon. It's so small. It's the small one, right? It's like, isn't it? It's like, I guess it's like Funko Pop size. Yeah. I don't know where my
it's
one is.
It's exactly Funko Pop size.
That's the, unit of measurement they use.
1-to-1 Funko Pop size.
Jesse, aside from your beautiful Austin Powers one, do you have any modern Funko Pops?
I don't personally own any, but Cassie, my wife, has one or two. At least one that I bought her. It's Korg from one of those Marvel movies, the Thor Ragnarok, the big rock guy. Hey, I'm cool. That's the only
Korg,
one. Yeah, it took me like 3 days to find that. It was at one GameSpot in the middle of nowhere. Or GameSpot. I had to go into the offices and steal it. But that's the only one. I've stayed away. I'm like Frank. I go to conventions and I just see 900 booths of Funko Pops and I want to beat them with baseball bats, just knock them down. Hate it.
There was that. You've actually mentioned it. I did buy two for my wife years ago. I have Carl Fredricksen, who's the old guy from Up, who kind of already looks like a Funko Pop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He has the dimensions.
Yeah, which is what I liked about it. It didn't seem like they were, this is me justifying my terrible past life decisions. But I was like, hey, at least that fits the form factor. And I think I might have gotten the kid as well, the Scout kid guy. I don't know, maybe. I forget. Years ago. So I guess each in our own way have contributed to the downfall of society, except for Frank, who sells them back, and Jeremy, who accidentally has one.
I don't even know
worth
where
50
it is.
quid. Now you should sell it back. It's worth 50 quid.
I should.
It's not bad. Thanks. That's the Noclip way. We don't take money from games studios, but when they give us random tat, we sell it.
Yeah. I got like a Discord bobblehead or a Funko at like a press event like a while ago, and I just
Wait, what the fuck's a Discord Funko Pop look
so
like?
they have like
Mr.
a pig.
Discord?
There's like a pig
The
thing
pig,
in Discord.
yeah.
It pops up and it's like, accept our WoW quest to get a free Nitro, and like the Discord
does say
pig.
that shit.
I
It's
think
true.
it's called
Hey,
Wumpus.
Your plosive on pig is attacking that microphone for our poor listeners. Keep your
Well,
pigs at a safe distance.
I think it's a Wumpus. Is that what it's called? The Discord Wumpus?
Oh, that little purple thing.
Yeah, it's a Wumpus. I don't know.
What's a
Isn't that the
Wumpus?
fruit from
I-
Crash Bandicoot? Oh, Wampa.
That's-
Sorry.
Discord Wumpus?
Wait,
Wumpus.
Hunt the Wumpus is a
it's
text-based
Wumpus.
adventure from 1973. Is this
The Wumpus is a
sounds like
real
a
animal,
creature.
is it?
Is it?
Oh, is it like made up? Is it like
It
a
has to be.
fictional mythological
Sounds like a Willy
beast?
Wonka thing that'd be
It
walking
does,
around
yeah.
made of chocolate.
Okay,
Yeah.
Hunt the Wumpus is not only a text-based adventure; it's a 1973 grid-based survival horror game.
Oh.
I wonder if that's the reference.
That's what it's from, apparently, originally, according to Wikipedia, which I no longer trust. So who knows? Wumpus. There you go. That little thing. Okay, you have a Wumpus Discord. That might be the worst. We might have found the worst Funko Pop. What would be a
Wumpus.
worse Funko Pop than the
Henry
Wumpus?
Kissinger.
Yeah, that would be
I-
worse. You're right.
Oh, an Elon Musk Funko Pop would be like.
Oh, that's way
Elon
worse.
Musk in Rick and Morty Funko Pop.
Yeah, that's the worst one. Yeah, because Henry Kissinger sucks, but he's also like part of history. So there's some, like you could do you could have a little Noam Chomsky Funko Pop too, and you could have them argue and stuff, and that'd be fun.
Right.
Elon
Yeah, I
Musk.
like that you try to pick a worse person, and you're like Henry Kissinger, and not Hitler.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
Henry
I guess-
Kissinger had-
Oh, do you
he has
like
his
do you
Hitler moments.
do you
Yeah.
like Hitler, Jeremy?
Yeah,
You didn't say Hitler.
You didn't
Yeah,
pick
that's
Hitler
so
as the
true,
worst
dude.
person you could imagine. Wow, I
How
didn't
did
know
you
you were a
not?
Hitler fan.
How did you not go for Genghis Khan? You
Yeah.
fucker.
That's true.
How
Yeah,
dare
anyone
you.
I didn't say, I actually approve of.
I could.
So
tell.
that means by the sort of relative moral theory, then like the best Funko Pop would be like an Anne Frank one,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yeah.
That's what we.
I feel like I feel like there's nothing I could say to push back against that. That would be a kosher statement. Yeah, it's fine with me.
So now I'm Googling there. See, the thing about Funko Pops is that a lot of people have made ironic, weird Funko Pops. So I have found both Henry Kissinger and Anne Frank almost immediately.
I'm googling worst Funko Pops because
Do they have Kramer at the Laugh Factory? That would be a good Funko Pop.
that's
I
great.
feel like.
Oh my God. What? Do they have like playback Funko Pops? Can you do like a press a
no.
button and it speaks kind of thing?
I have
Just
no
to take,
idea.
just to take that Kramer one to the next.
There are multiple Kramer Funko Pops. So you could hack it or mod it or something.
I might have to. I might have a task for the weekend.
There you go.
Get a
You could-
Raspberry Pi and stick it on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that and then sell it to I don't know. You could really get somebody with that one. Did you see? Speaking of stupid things that Seinfeld people have said, did you see Seinfeld had walked back his comments on
Yeah.
hard leftists ruining comedy? I found it's like, I mean, this has been a bumper week for people retracting stupid statements. Asmongold is currently presumably cleaning his house while his Twitch account is has been banned. But I found that really funny that you can walk back something so broad that you said for 10 minutes. You can, like, right now on this podcast, I could take up like a really like sort of strong-willed opinion on something super general. And then, like in a month, go, I was wrong. I hadn't really thought about it.
Do you want?
Even
Are there
though
any
it's-
stances you want to take? Any lines you want to draw in the sand? Right
Yeah, I've thought about that right. You know how that right wing curveball is always there. You know what I mean? You can always do it.
now? Like to grift and make.
Oh,
a
Yeah, the
yeah,
grift.
Yeah.
It's always there. And I mean, I'm Irish people are incredibly white. You know, I could really lean into that. My hair is grey. I don't know if that seems a bit too obvious though. I could
Yeah.
go like the other direction and just go like hyper communist.
Yeah.
But then, I'd have to like probably not own as much stupid shit. I don't know. That feels like that's ethically.
Maybe you should go hypercentrist. Just like find the biggest
Oh.
fence you can sit on and just sit right there.
That's true.
Do I have to like be into Ayn Rand for that though?
Nah, she's a little more right wing. I feel
Yeah.
like here's what you do: is anytime anyone has a stance at all that changes anything at all, you just say, I think we need to slow it down and just like, not advance so quickly. Like if someone is like, I feel like we should fund giving kids school lunches. You're like, well,
Hey,
there
to
may
play
be
devil's
unintended-
advocate, I mean, when they
Yeah,
starve,
yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
funny. Like,
Right.
just drop that.
That's an interesting new instead of the sort of the left right spectrum, we're sort of adopting a new Z axis that's based on like time and what I'm basically advocating for is that life right now life's pretty good for most people.
Yeah.
So let's just pause.
Yeah. Let's pump the brakes.
Let's pump the brakes. The party.
Yeah.
PTPP.
All right.
Off the tongue.
We won't
There's a
use the
party up here called the
Italicism.
PPC, which is like you couldn't have come
they
up with
cool?
a funnier. No, they suck. They're like the worst. But their name is PPC. That's like a joke that high schoolers or like middle schoolers come up with. Like, oh, spell cut backwards. Like that's what if I name my political party that?
Well, you're out then, Jesse. Jeremy and Frank, if you want to join the pump the brakes party,
I'm a pumper, dude. I'm in.
because you could easily spin it as like, oh, we want to stop global warming. You know what I mean?
We
Like,
want
wanna
global warming to pump the brakes too.
Yeah, we want to stop World War
It's
III.
happening too
you know?
fast.
Russia, don't increase your territory, and Israel, you're only allowed carpet bomb what you're carpet bombing now. You can't do any more.
Yeah, no more.
But everything up till now, we're gonna agree everything's not perfect,
Clean slate.
but we're just gonna, stuff's fine. You know what I mean? It could be worse. It could be worse. That's a very Irish stance.
It could be
It
worse.
could be worse.
Yeah.
Don't complain too much. It fucking could be worse.
That's like the there's like you don't clean your plate when you're 6 years old as like a child in America. Your mom is like, there's starving kids in Africa. I feel like that's kind of the ethos of our party here.
And there still will be. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's
we're not
the
going to solve that.
No,
Unfortunately.
that's the thing. This is a global party, by the way. This is not. We're gonna have to take over the world. That's one thing that's gonna change. So we are going to have to police the rest of the world, and
We're
then
not really
too
going to do
quickly.
anything with that power.
no, we're gonna establish the status quo. Is what we're gonna do. We're gonna and people are gonna be resistant to this, which is gonna be a problem. So we are gonna have to quell some of that resistance.
I do
But
feel
it's-
like we're describing just like liberal Democrats right now. That's not like a political joke or anything. I'm just saying it.
Look, we there are a lot of companies that need to sell these missiles. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
Sponsored by
saying.
Halliburton.
America. I mean, yeah, I don't know what Canada's exporting up there. What's maple syrup? I don't know what do you guys have a Raytheon? A Boeing?
Yes. I can't think of what the name is. It might just be an American brand that brands or makes bombs and then just has Canada slapped on the end of it
Okay.
like we do with everything else.
Like Ubisoft
Raytheon
Montreal. It's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Raytheon Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Raytheon.
Raytheon.
No, Boeing,
The missiles.
Halliburton. What's I work? J'habite as I live. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We just want to shout out all of our incredible members of the Pump the Brakes party. Eamon Slattery, Harry Flanagan, Battle Royale Games, Arno, Richard Matheson, James Brown, Mark Rojas, Ryan Cobb, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Sven Huster, Pez, Ewan Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Cameron Laird, Zachary Snader, Alex Sharp, Alex Goucher. Alex Goucher works at Halliburton. I'm sure he doesn't. George Sagotis, or maybe he does. Jacob Godserve, Tohir Tiliev, and Ryson. Thank you all so much for your incredible support of us. It's been a weird 6 weeks here on Noclip. Thank God Jeremy got that Dust 2 doc out. It's soaking up the numbers. We're loving it. We live in a hey, if we ever are stuck, let's just pump out something in the Half-Life universe. That'll get it done. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Myself and Frank were filming something very exciting last week, which is not Noclip related necessarily, but you will all enjoy. We can't talk about it. This has happened in the past. We're doing it again next week. So it's going to be... So just hold firm. right? There's a Patreon show going up this weekend. It kind of explains some of this stuff, but we've got a lot of cool stuff coming out. But yeah, it's been a little bit quiet. We have 2 docs, at least 1 doc coming out next month on Soul Reaver, and possibly another one as well. But yeah, it's busy times out there, and it's busy times in the world of video games, video juegos, mostly because Steam Next Fest is on. Jesse, we're recording a video after this. Can you explain what that is and why it has destroyed this podcast's content pipeline?
Yeah, Steam Next Fest. It's right now. We're doing another one of those videos that we're doing on Crew. We've done 2 of them this year where we're highlighting some of our favorites from the Steam Next Fest event. You can watch that. Should be up this weekend. It's going to have the big hitters from myself, Danny, and Jeremy. We're going to be talking about some of the games. There's like 3,000 of them at the event. And I think Steam Next Fest has just become this triannual, I guess at this point, event where, people put demos up for their new and upcoming and very far in the future games, which feels like maybe the wrong move. If your game's coming out next year, I'd maybe wait, do a different one. But I've played a ton of the demos like I do every single time. I think I've played like 240 this time around.
God, really?
Yeah, I got access to the list pretty early, and I'm just good at finding the ones that are there. There's so many. It's wild. There's been a ton though. Like I said, we're going to have that video that goes out this weekend that's going to have some of the big hitters, but there's a couple that I wanted to talk about that I won't be able to include in there just because, we got to share the floor.
I brought one or 2 as well that I haven't played too much of, and I think, Jeremy, you have as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Frank just went ahead and played some actual contemporary games that came out this week, like a weirdo. What's that about?
Ending.
So we will have some chat about Silent Hill 2 and Metaphor. But yeah, let's dabble a little bit. Some of the bigger ones are going to be in that video, and we can name them here as well, maybe. But what other ones, Jesse? You go first because like you've played 200 and something of these, so I feel like you're very much the expert when it comes to all things Next Fest, not just here, but sort of generally. I know your Twitter threads always go viral as well. Yeah, what's on the cutting room floor, as it were? What ones are you sort of mentioning that won't make that video, perhaps?
I mean, there's just so many. There's so many like good ones, so many okay ones that are like, you could see the promise. You could see if they have 6 more months, it'll really it'll hit the spot. But one of the ones that I played that made me go like immediately, just aesthetic wise, gameplay wise, I was right into it, was a HYPERBEAT. This is a Rez-like, I think is a good way of describing it. It's like a third-person rhythm game where you play as a character that's flying in space, and there's targets coming towards you. Some of them are just smash into the target, and some of them are you have to use an attack button in a specific direction to hit the target to line up with the attacks. It's almost like third-person, like Beat Saber a little bit in some ways.
Looks a bit like Rez. You ever play Rez?
Yeah, it's like a Rez-like. Yeah. So it's got that sort of rhythm game stylings to it. The music's really good. And I think the reason that I was drawn into it, because sometimes you could just make a game in a different style and, it's like one of those. The aesthetic and visual presentation in general for HYPERBEAT is so good. Like, it just looks fantastic. If you're seeing screenshots of it, or if you just check the Steam page, or if you're watching the video version, it'll have some footage up. It's like looking at, I couldn't even describe an era, like I guess like Rez in a lot of ways, but when you're not doing the rhythm game part, the menu for the game is in this like ethereal plane of existence where there's this giant weird low poly tree in the middle of this dark and gray space. It's very neon and bright, like it's very monochrome, and then there's random bright colors both in the rhythm game and in this walking around section. And oh my God, it's so just like bizarre to be walking around in. It looks great. There's a character that you talk to who has this like very cryptic way of speaking that adds a lot to the story, and there's tons of other modes that aren't represented in the demo that I can see being like, I don't know, if they're doing more with these gameplay mechanics, with this aesthetic, with this style, I'm excited to see more of it. I think it's just a really compelling game and totally my shit.
HYPERBEAT, yeah, it looks neat. That was not on purpose.
Well done.
It reminds me of there was like a weird subgenre of sort of shmup that existed,
like Space Harrier.
I remember playing a bunch of these on the Amiga. I'm not sure if maybe that fits into it, but what I'm thinking of is like, I remember Stardust had one of these tunnel sequences in it where you were basically like shooting enemies flying towards you, but it was like faux 3D. You know what I mean? Like it was just doing some I don't know. What is it called on the SNES when they did that?
Mode
fake 3D
7.
thing? Mode 7. It's like a Mode 7 kind of look.
UFO 50 has one of those games.
Cool.
Campanella
Of course it
3.
does.
Yeah, of course it does.
Wait, it's something 3?
It's Campanella 3. Campanella 2 is also very good. Yeah.
Is that also in the game? Is
Campanella 2
1
is
in it?
in UFO 50. It must be. but
Campanella
now
1's in there, right?
There's too many games. I had to uninstall UFO 50 because I was like, it was like Balatro, where I was like, I could just fire it up for 5 minutes, and then an hour goes by, and I'm just playing fucking Campanella 2.
UFO 50 and Steam Next Fest are quite similar in their, how you tackle them.
Yeah.
Except in Jesse's case, UFO 50 is a quarter of the size of Next Fest. Can I jump in quick with one?
Yeah, please.
Keep Driving. I've only played a little bit of this. I haven't played enough of it yet. I'm not sure if it's on our list or not, but this is the God, how do you even explain it? It's like a road trip roguelike, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a side view of a car. The art style is gorgeous. It's like pixel art countryside, sort of leaning slightly towards a more realistic look than a cartoony look, I would say. And you're basically on a road trip. You're like there's a bit of light character creation at the start where you get to pick like, are you a student or are you a electrician or a mechanic, or which car do you have? Is it like a little 4-door sedan? Is it like an old muscle car? Is it a truck, a beater up truck? And then what do you take out with you? A pack from your mom. It's got a couple of sandwiches in it, or a couple of tools or whatever. And then you basically have 7 days to get to your friend's house. You're bringing a video game to go hang out with them for a week during like your sort of summer off school, or doing whatever. And you can use those 7 days to get across the land. And it reminds me a little bit of, do you remember the Finji game Overland, which was like a cross-country American, post-apocalyptic zombie kind of survival thing? This is not that, but it's a road trip game where you have a limited energy and money, and the car can break down. You have to buy fuel, and you have like stress, I think, is one of them, or something like that. And basically events happen on the road. Like one of the first ones you have is you get stuck behind a tractor, and then you have to do this sort of, it's taken me a while to figure it out, but this little odd mini game where you basically use kind of like cards you have. They're just like little things, almost like air fresheners hanging off of the little mirror there, and you pull them down, and they can cancel out a certain amount of the problems that you're running into, be it like fuel or tiredness or whatever, stuff like that. And you apply them to this. It's a very unique mechanic. I can't really think of anything that it's like, and because I've only just started playing it, it's hard to say right now whether I think it's fun or not, that aspect of it, but it's definitely interesting. So yeah, I like a road trip game. I like road trips in general, and it's definitely a gorgeous looking thing, and at the very least the mechanics are interesting. How sticky they are, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I played a bunch of that myself. It's a ton of fun. I enjoy the like weird combat mechanic stuff. I think it's just nice to play something that's doing something different. Like I can't think of anything else like Keep Driving, which is I think a good mark for it. The one thing that I found really funny about it, like genuinely made me laugh my ass off, is if you run out of energy while you're taking a trip, because all the trips are timed based on how far away they are on the map. If you get into the middle of a trip and have all these events occur and you run out of gas, you run out of energy or whatever, you have a bunch of options to sort of fix your run. You can go and get gas and like walk and do it, or you can call CAA and they'll pick you, or whatever, AAA. CAA is the Canadian version. And they'll come pick you up. Or you can call your parents, which has a percentage chance of making you lose the game if you call your parents to come help you.
So good.
Which I thought was really funny.
Like they might just convince you to come home. Like,
they're like, you're not ready for this. Come on back. Like, maybe when you're a little bit older, you just got out of school. So yeah, I just dig the aesthetic and style of it so much.
Just based on you mentioned Canada as well, and it not being Canada, it's very vague over where it is. It seems almost Scandinavian, the names of the towns, but I don't think it's based on anywhere in particular. I think it's just sort of.
Think so. It doesn't even, as far as I could tell, it's not even set in a specific year or like era necessarily. It kind of feels like the 90s, but it also feels contemporary and maybe even older than that. Like it's
it's hard to judge because like you're like, oh, is this car old? Like, am I playing the radio on this car and this car is an old car or is it a new car? And it's neat though. Yeah, cool one. Keep Driving is the name of that one.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Jeremy?
Jeremy, if you want to talk about yours, I'd love to hear more about the one you were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. So I played a bunch of Steam Next Fest demos, and the one that struck me the most is a game called Sorry We're Closed. This is a game. Let me pull it up while I'm talking about it.
Is this a sequel to Thank You for... What was that one called?
Thank Goodness You're Here.
Thank you for...
No, Thank Goodness...
Thank goodness
right?
You're here.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That's what
No, this could not be more different than Thank Goodness You're Here. So Sorry We're Closed. This is a game from a new development team called Alamode Games. This is how to even describe this game. It is incredibly colorful, bombastic, over the top. Queer survival horror is how I would describe this.
Okay.
Where it has a lot of like dark, dingy, rusty, bloody Silent Hill type environments with like the metal and the blood and all the things you expect from that. But it has this like occult, witchy, like daylight horror thing going on. When you beat the demo, it shows you a little trailer for a bunch of stuff that will be in the game. And a bunch of the things that they flash on screen are like, like all white, cloudy, beautiful, heavenly environments, but in the context of a horror game, which I think is really interesting. It's not just doing the Silent Hill thing where it's like, now you're in like a water cistern, and now you're at the bottom of a well, now you're in a graveyard. Like it's doing like some things that are a little more like daylight, and it's an interesting kind of contrast in that way. But it's also just got this like... this camp feel to it. I don't know if it's even like the villain, because the demo is whatever, like the first 45 minutes of the game, it feels like. But basically you are a young woman in an apartment building, and when you go to sleep that night, this like 8-foot tall being, this like pink demonic being comes into your room, basically kind of like a sleep paralysis demon, and curses you and puts a third eye on your forehead. And now suddenly you can traverse into this like demonic realm, basically. Mechanically, it does this really interesting thing where the third eye can basically it creates a field around you that is like you're like seeing through the illusion of these places. So it not only has puzzle implications where you can see like there's a second layer to every environment that you can reveal with the third eye. It also has combat implications, which I thought was super cool. So the combat in this game switches into first person. So you see an enemy, you hold left trigger, and all of a sudden you're in first person looking at them and aiming a gun.
What's the perspective before combat then?
Oh, it's like a traditional like semi-fixed camera survival horror.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very like throwback, fixed camera. So the interesting thing with the eye thing is that basically you can shoot enemies in first person, but if you trigger the eye thing, all of a sudden your bullets cannot go farther than the distance of that eye filter, but you can see a heart icon on enemies. And so it creates like a weak point on enemies where you cannot hurt them unless you hit that. So you have to like, you're leaning into precision basically.
And you have to be close to them to attack them, presumably.
Exactly.
They need to be in that cone or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So you're putting yourself in a higher risk reward basically. But I thought it was really interesting. It's I've played I'm almost done with Silent Hill 4, so I've played basically in the last couple of years the 4 mainline Silent Hill games, and the combat in those games is just like you feel disempowered, and that's part of the experience. But I'm never like, wow, the combat is so sick. Like it's not a mechanical pull for those games, and I feel like this system is doing something really fresh and original with the first person stuff that feels fun and arcadey, and you're like going from very traditional survival horror into just like, now I'm at like a shooting gallery and a bunch of fucking rats are rushing at me in the demon realm. So yeah, it's really good. The characters are like very expressive and over the top and cool. The art is unbelievable. So it comes out in like a month. I think it's November 14th. So sorry we're closed.
Yeah, I'm just watching the trailer here, and I'm just it's another one of these games I'm like bamboozled at. Like we keep driving. I'm like, where did you, like, typical ex-journalist, games journalist thing of trying to find games to approximate this with and just coming up blank. I'm like, I don't know. Is it Silent Hill meets fucking Neon White? I don't know. It's like
Killer 7 kind of has that weird thing where it's like third person, then you go first person. It has that insane Suda 51 like aesthetic. But yeah, very colorful. It looks incredible.
I think it says a lot that I was just on the page for it here on Steam, and you know the way it'll show like somebody who's streaming it at the moment, and it's Voidburger is currently streaming.
For sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's in her wheelhouse, which seems to make sense as well. Man, that's wild. Sorry,
highly recommend it. I was sad when the demo ended, and I cannot. I mean, here's the thing: is like when I play a demo, I'm like, do I cut this off after 5 minutes because I know I'll love it, or do I see it through because I'm enjoying it so much? And I couldn't stop myself from beating this, but I'll definitely play the full thing.
Can I talk about some ones that I played that I'm like, I don't know if I want to play this, but this was a fun, weird demo, and I don't know what the fuck's going on. Have you guys seen Sand?
Yeah.
At the beach? No, wait.
In general,
that's how they make glass, right?
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, Jesse, your reaction seems similar to maybe mine. With Sand.
I gave it a shot. It's okay.
It's
like Sea of Thieves, but instead of in the water, you're in the sand.
It's Sea of exactly. It's Sea of Thieves, but instead of that, there was a fucking. You know what it is? It's the big metal spiders from Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
I've just. That's why I was so. I was like, I gotta see this thing. It's like a big automaton in like a sand world, and you're clearly meant to play this co-op. So when I jumped in, I was like, oh well, I'm gonna have a bad experience, and that's on me, and that's fine. I don't, whatever. I'd love to see people play this thing. Like in a way, it reminds me of Stunt Derby, where we just like throw you into a map and then. Hey, fucking good luck. You know what I mean? Like it's a PvP demo that like, largely you kind of require other people. I never thought about racing as PvP, but I guess it kind of is. But yeah, Sand was a similar thing. I was like, well, that's a crazy thing that they've made. Good luck to them. I hope it's cool. But I don't know if this was the right time for your demo, maybe. Who knows? Maybe they needed
I feel that way about multiplayer demos in general, or anything that's like co-op exclusive. I'm like, yeah. But if people are excited about it, you had fun with your friends. Like it's free, right? Nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not, if the game's good, then the game's good. And if it's more fun with your friends, then that's also a high watermark for it. But there were just a couple of demos where I was like, I want to play this. It's co-op exclusive.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends. No, I don't have anyone I could bother to sit down and play a game they've never heard of before for 30 minutes while I decide if it's worth mentioning.
That's the thing is I feel like if because I saw a bunch of games where it was multiplayer or co-op, and I was like, if I was going to ask my friends to do this with me, I feel like I would need to curate a list of like 8 games for us to work through. Because I most people that I know, I'm not like, hey, can I get you for 10 minutes to try Sand? They're like, I don't know, man. Like we can play games tonight, but I don't know if I want to play 10 minutes of a game called Sand. Although Sand does look, the aesthetic is really impressive. It has a lot going on visually. It's got this like steampunk, like Danny said, the Wild West Spider Walker is pretty much the perfect analogy.
Or like UE5 Sandland, that Akira Toriyama manga.
Right. Yeah, it's just funny as well that the game is called Sand. I just thought that was particularly. It's like, I guess nobody's like using sand as a product name on anything. Have any of you guys played the Delta Force demo?
No, how is it?
I'm like a Delta Force fan, but like I'm 38. I might be too much of a Delta Force fan. So they're putting out this Delta Force game, which apparently is going to have a campaign, and then I think the demo is like there's an extraction shooter and maybe there's another type of shooter in it. There's like 3 modes. The campaign isn't available yet. But the campaign apparently is basically doing I think it's a reimagining of the Delta Force Black Hawk Down game, which to me is not like the Delta Force game. Like I remember the original Delta Force that had fucking voxels, and that was like weird. And then Delta Force 2, and then Nova Logic made those games, and they made a bunch of games that were like Delta Force or within the sort of family of Delta Force. I guess maybe Black Hawk Down was the game that like hit hardest for a certain generation. I don't know, but that's not my Delta Force. You know what I mean? It's like it's sort of like the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, whereas I'm more of a Rainbow Six Ghost Recon head. Stick me in Hidden and Dangerous, motherfuckers. Like that's the type of tactical war shooter I want. So yeah, when I booted this thing up and it did a demo, and it was like, oh, this is an extraction thing you're doing here. That's different. So I haven't played enough of it. I want to meet it on its own terms now. I just had an experience where I was expecting one thing, and then I came in and was like, oh, you just made a game and this is not what I was expecting at all. But they are doing this big homage, but also to a version of Delta Force that I'd have no nostalgia for. So I was a little bit put off. So I'm going to go back and play it on its own terms because I feel like I didn't meet it properly. But I was interested in if you guys had touched it at all. But yeah, doesn't sound like it made the cut. I think it's one of the most downloaded ones, which kind of makes sense.
That sounds right.
It looks like it's the most AAA one I played for sure.
Yeah, extraction shooters are also enduringly popular somehow. I mean, I don't dislike them. It never stuck for me like other genres have.
Yeah, good for a demo as well, probably, because multiplayer, big map, a lot of people play together. I bet they have to figure out a lot of technical stuff. But they're biting off a lot. Like to do a campaign and then 2 different multiplayer modes. I don't know what the other one is. Is it just regular?
I'd said like large scale PvP warfare. So I imagine like a Battlefield style thing. I saw someone driving a tank as well, so it seems like pretty straight Battlefield.
Cool. There you go.
Nice.
There was a mode in the original Delta Force because the whole thing was done with voxels. I think you pressed the H key and it did like turbo mode, like those old processors. And it would like double the amount of voxels, which was good because by default, like it was like you had a fucking -3 prescription. Like you couldn't see shit at a distance. And all the maps were huge open world maps that you had to get to the LZ and all that sort of stuff.
It's funny, I've never played the original Delta Force games, but I recognize the boxes for it. Like I remember seeing them in
logo
game stores and being like, whoa, what the fuck is that? That's cool.
That like triangle with the fucking knife in it or whatever.
Yeah,
is that
on
what
like
it is?
a red faction red, like rusty red field
Yeah.
background.
It's one of
really
those things you see in
intimidating
the store and
logo.
you just salute.
Yeah. I just thank you for your service, and then I didn't buy the game.
Yeah, if you saw somebody with that tattoo, you'd be like,
Don't fuck with that guy.
yeah, you a little. Which one? Who you voting for? You know, like,
Oh boy.
We're getting back to this.
can I tell you about this? How do you feel about the status quo? Right.
Oh no.
How do you feel about things
join
are
the
all right, aren't
PTPP?
they?
Things are moving pretty fast, don't you feel like?
Yeah, maybe a little bit too fast. You know what I mean? Jesse, I'm passing the what is it? Where this is like
The
a meeting
talking
where
stick, the baton.
Yeah, exactly. We need a Noclip.
Conch.
What's the Noclip talking object?
It's a Doom Guy Funko Pop.
Okay, perfect. All right, Jesse, you've been past the Doom Guy Funko Pop.
I'm holding him. He's sharp. There's 2 games that I wanted to mention that are like similar-ish in a lot of ways. The first one is sorry, I just want to make sure I get the title right. It's like 4 words.
It's called
Goodbyes.
Sand. Is it
Have you guys heard of this one? Have you seen this?
Sand.
4
Heard of
letters?
this? Some Goodbyes We Made is the first
Okay.
one. And then the other one is While Waiting. So the 2 games.
Sorry to everyone who's listening. There's just like a smattering of everyone hitting their keyboards the minute every game is mentioned.
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, we need a Jamie. Yeah, we almost do. So the first one, fuck me, sorry, it's just such a like
Some goodbyes
we made. Thank you. Yes. This is like a series of small mini games that are about saying goodbye to someone, to something, to an idea, and the idea of leaving. It's a very like artsy video game. Each of the mini games that are available in the demo all have different art styles, and they all focus around like a central mechanic. So one of them is literally waving goodbye to somebody on a train station as you're on the train going away from the person on the platform. And like, it's such a small, simple interaction. There's nothing about it that's particularly, over the top, or it doesn't really dig into your heart too much. The music's a little emotional, but for the most part, it's like we've all been here at some point in our lives. I feel like at some moment we've had to say goodbye to somebody, and one of these mini games just in the demo will probably connect to you at least a little bit. So I don't know. The first one is the character on a plane flying away, and like all of the memories of home are flashing by as they're flying or getting ready to fly. So it's just a lot of these like very sweet little vignettes. It's just a fun's maybe the wrong word, but fun in like I'm surprised that something like this works so well sort of way, at least for me. Maybe like if you play, you'd be like, who cares, whatever. I also have emotions, but it worked for me a lot. And the other one, While Waiting, is a similar sort of thing. It's again a bunch of little mini game vignette sort of things where you walk around in these specific spaces with like a time limit on them. And at first I was like, I'm going to feel the Grim Reaper on my shoulder on this one. He's going to be like, hey man, don't you just hate waiting and just waiting for things to happen, waiting for time to pass? And this is one of those for sure. But at the same time, it's doing a lot of fun little things. Like it's about basically just a bunch of different life events and waiting for time to pass in them. And you're like killing time while you're waiting. There's a fidget button you can pull up, which I thought was really funny. Like if you're just tired of looking for things to do, you can just spam the fidget toy, which is like a cute little thing. For the most part, it's just fun to see all the little interactions that are in the moments you have to wait for, the times you can waste, and it's like a reason to go back and play them again. I just thought it had a good art style, and it was a fun little excursion, the sort of thing that I would expect to play on a Nintendo DS. But it's in the now DS, the current day. I don't know.
DS is not current. That's CD. Though. What's DS?
No, the days
Day
standard.
Standard.
I don't know.
There we go. What? So some good buys we made, and what was the other one called?
While waiting.
While waiting. Okay, yeah. That's one of the things that I'm, I feel bad for people almost, that I'm like, there's so much interesting shit getting made right now, but there's so many of them that I like hope the market is there for all this stuff, I feel like if any one of these games came out like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, even maybe 5, that like they just would have been played so much. Like it's wild that somebody made this idea, but there is sort of a limit on human time, and I don't know how big the market is either. A game that I played a bit of that I really enjoyed that's not on my list for that video is Dieseldome Oil and Blood.
Great name.
Which is one of a few sort of I guess Vampire Survivor likes. You know what I mean? A game where well, you've played 200, so I'm guessing about 100 of those were,
give or take,
round-based upgrades. Dieseldome is basically a like first-person. You're killing hordes of. It takes place in like a coliseum, and there's just like hordes of baddies coming in, and you shoot them, and you get upgrades. So every time you shoot enough of these fuckers, you get to upgrade something to do with your weapons or your character or whatever. And it is fast paced and 90s in its like jumping around. You're wall running, you're wall jumping, you're double jumping. It's brutal, it's bloody. It's very sort of like, it's not a New Blood game, but it's got a New Blood vibe to it. And I've enjoyed playing it. It's also got a great name, Dieseldome, Oil and Blood. So that's one that I've been dabbling in, but yeah, it's there. One of the games that I played is another Vampire Survivor like that actually did make my list is a game called Ballionaire, which I'm just going to say right now, I won't say anything else about it. Watch the video. It's pachinko Vampire Survivors.
Huh.
So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah. So 2 of the most addictive things in the world combined. So good luck with that.
Can I talk about a game that is not on my list for the next best video, but is on Danny's? Is that off limits?
Sure, yeah, go for it. Just let's not do too much on it.
Yeah.
I'm interested in which one.
I played a little bit of the Precinct.
Oh man, we got to talk about the Precinct.
Yeah.
I have feelings about the Precinct.
I'm excited to hear your take on this. So the Precinct is like it's like a hard-boiled cop sandbox game. It has kind of like it feels kind of like a GTA game that came out between the transition to 3D. Like it's not top down, but it's not kind of like fully close in third person. It's kind of like a 45, 60 degree angle removed third person, but pretty far away. I don't know. I didn't play a ton of it because I was like, this is really interesting. Like I might actually want to just like buy this and go whole hog on it. But it's basically just kind of like a caricature of the exact police stereotypes you imagine, where they have like the character portraits pop up and they're like, "Yeah, it's your first day on the job," and they're all talking like this, and people are just making like crass jokes and shit. Like it just feels like a shitty '90s police procedural in the best possible way imaginable. And then you kind of go out and get a hot dog with your partner, and he's like, "Yeah, tube steak. I love this shit."
And then there's a fucking bank robbery. Your first job is murdering like 6 people.
So the thing I love, the minute where I was like, "Oh, this game is amazing," is there's a dedicated button to just vocalize, and so he's like, yeah, when they come out of there, make sure you're ready to pop them if they don't respond. So they come out of the door, and you're like, you push the button, it's a little sound wave goes out. You're like, stop, and then they just start shooting immediately, and you just like fucking annihilate a bunch of bank robbers. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like video games about being the police are such a weird, it's not even like a guilty pleasure because it feels so non-real to me. If I go back and watch like cop shows that were like Cops, which as a kid was like a fun, like, oh, this show is so wacky, these people are wacky. Now I watch this as an adult, I'm like, this is so fucking sad. Like, people's lives are being ruined. So I feel like
and they were always like deployed in areas where the trust in the police was super low. It was like basically propaganda for pro cop propaganda.
Yeah, 100%. So I feel like cop video games are weird, like they feel outside of reality. So it just being a cop is like the perfect role to be in a video game, because in video games you're like, I just want to do whatever the fuck I want in this world, like GTA.
Yeah, you don't have to be accountable or anything. Yeah, perfect job to role play in a game. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've always wanted more. Like I'm like the ACAB crowd are not going to enjoy the Precinct, right? Because it is so removed from like the reality of cop stuff. And I'm like, I'm definitely like, especially here in the States, like the police state-ness of this country is super alarming to me. But like, I don't prescribe to the idea that like everyone who goes to work for the police is some sort of psychopath. Like, I do think there's massive systemic problems when it comes to how they treat poor people and people who aren't white. But I find it interesting. Like, I find it to be an area that is probably worth doing a lot of art around. Like like movies that dive into that stuff are really interesting, that like dive into the morals and the characters and the power dynamics and the people who grab power and use it for their own means within organizations like that, and the people who are attracted by that power, right? Who maybe wouldn't get a well-paying job anywhere else, but they can go there and get you know what I mean? So I always find it like a rich tapestry for those types of stories. But games never go there. You know what I mean? Like there's no, like you get like a like Autobahn Simulator 2015, right? For your cop who's pulling people over, or there are some police simulator games that come out as well that a bunch of those simulator people do, but it's never like actually doing the thing. There was a game on the Amiga. I know. I swear to God, Amiga is not just my only touch point, but there was a game based on the TV show Hill Street Blues.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that was a straight up, looks like sort of Grand Theft Auto, like looking straight down, but you controlled your police officer, and it was like, I think police work is like one of the most video game loop ass jobs in the fucking world, because you literally, something happens, you have to have a reaction to it, and either the outcome is more good or worse, better or worse, based on how you did. And then at the end, you are hopefully, at least in the video game world, accountable for your actions. So you end up having this like natural loop. And I remember in Hill Street Blues, like, it would be really interesting. You'd like, start off with petty crime and all this sort of stuff, and you'd work up. And I remember me and my brother, for whatever reason, I think we couldn't it was either a pirated version or we couldn't figure out how to save the game, but it had a really slow clock in the game. So to get to nighttime took like maybe 6 hours. It was like, it took a long time, and it was a difficult game. So eventually we got to nighttime, and in nighttime, like, shit got real in Hill Street Blues. And I remember the first time one of our cops, there was a shooting, and one of our cop friends died, and it was like crazy. It was like so impactful because we'd spent the entire morning giving speeding tickets to people, right? And then we got to, and it was like, suddenly, shit, this is hardcore, right? So when I started playing this game, and the first thing that happened was a bank robbery where you kill 6 people on his first day on the job, I was like, oh. But then weirdly enough, it almost acts as like a sort of false intro, because then after that, you're doing a lot of literally like giving people tickets for parking in front of hydrants and other stuff like that. So I'm hopeful that it's like It's definitely not like going to do the like hard boy. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe like 2 hours into this game, there ends up being some scandal within the precinct, and then that's something you have to do because they have all these dialogue boxes and stuff. You know, they have all these characters. I don't know if it's gonna go there, but I think it's more demonstrative of the fact that like nobody is making any police games that are anything other than those simulator things where it's just like, you know, pull them over, do the thing, that I'm finding this game interesting. And I don't know why people don't. Like, I think GTA from the cops perspective, I think would be super interesting, especially if you did tackle themes of, you know, people overstretching their power, racism, stuff like it's such fertile ground for that type of stuff.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because there's a ton of police procedurals and like TV shows and movies and stuff and like The Shield and all these things. And I feel like when you make a piece of linear media, you have to sort of take a perspective of like, this is about how cops are good, actually. This is about how cops are bad, actually. This is about how like, this is a corrupt cop. This is like the one good cop. You know, it has to like pick a lane. And I feel like when you make a sandbox game, you can create avenues for the player to express. Like, you could create a game where a player can, I don't know, like in Disco Elysium, you can be like you could be the fascist cop, you could be the communist cop. Like,
that's a really good example of a game that literally, like, Disco Elysium is a game about being a cop. It's about, like fundamentally, it's about like Harry's power within that world is that.
Yeah,
it's about like the way people interact with him, what he's able to do, how much he can swing his dick around is entirely based on the fact that he's a police officer. So like, I think that type of that element to it. You know what I'd love would be like a Crusader Kings version of you running a police station. Yeah,
that'd be sick. Did you ever play Gangsters back in the day?
Really
PC game.
Somebody brought that up recently in an interview we did. I don't know where it was, but yeah. Gangsters,
I love that game.
Is it City of Omerta or something it was called?
I can't remember what it was. I played Gangsters 1 and Gangsters 2, but it had sort of like you had like a roster of gangsters with, you know, variety of skills. Like, this guy's good at shooting and this guy's good at extortion or whatever. And then it was kind of this top-down, like isometric sort of, not like SimCity, a little more detailed, but smaller than that, city. And you would just, you know, have like operations go. You kind of just like watched things happen. You would kind of just set up the dominoes and let them fall.
Yeah.
But it always felt very, to me as a kid, I was like, this is like an incredibly dense and detailed and systemic simulation.
Yeah, and that was similar to the Hill Street Blues thing, where because Gangsters was like isometric, right? And it was like beautiful. It kind of looked like SimCity almost, like you sort of looking in there. Omerta City of Gangsters was a different game, I think. That might have come out after it. But yeah, that original Gangsters, that's a good example. Because like basically running a mob and running the cops is probably not all that different, right? It's about like, you know, using your power and influence and assigning people jobs and stuff like that. Like the reason Crusader Kings came to mind was I was playing last week and there was a moment where I went on a hunt. You know, you go on a hunt with people and it's like an event that takes place in the game for a couple of days, and usually you form alliances or interesting things happen. It's sort of a way for the game to like create gamey moments within Crusader Kings. It's not just you waiting for the next rat plague to make all your children not be able to have their own children. And one of the things that happened was one of my idiot nephews there's no guns, like arrowed a peasant, and I was the first person to see it, and there was no one else around, and I could like help him bury the body, or, you know, blame him or do something else, or say the peasant attacked him or something like that. So it was like, you know, and I just sold the fucker. He was like second kid, not in line, had no, you know, we hadn't given him any education. He was a bit of an idiot. So I was like, I'm hanging this fucker out to dry. But like that's a moment where I'd be like, yeah, that would be an interesting thing within like one of those games. But anyway, I'm talking about a hypothetical game, not the actual game we're talking about here at the Precinct. But yeah, for whatever reason, like I'm charmed by this, you know, this thing, and I don't know if I don't know if I'm vibing with it, or I'm just thinking, God, it's so weird that people don't do this, that even this sort of version of it I'm fine with. I don't know.
I just like that it's kind of silly. Like it's about the most disturbing, serious shit you can imagine. Like people doing crime and then getting shot in the head for it. But all the characters are like, yeah, I love a hot dog more than anything. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. This game understands the line to not cross. You know what I mean?
Which is why I hope it does. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's what
that's
I'm
true, that's
hoping.
true.
Is that it does, and it got me, but I don't know. It probably
Yeah.
does. In the meantime, I think it's funny giving people parking tickets for parking the wrong with their car facing the wrong way, which I didn't know was a law here. So there you go. I'm learning things too. Can you park
Educational.
facing the wrong way in Canada, Jesse?
I don't think so, because the only way they would give you that ticket is if you were driving the wrong way on the street, right? Or if you parked
that's
on
the
a
problem,
parking spot on the other side of the street, which required you to cross over the
Yeah,
yellow line, right? You're not supposed to do.
I guess. Yeah, for
I
whatever
guess, I
reason
don't
in Europe, they don't give a shit about that. It's just like, yeah, I never thought about it. But you're right. You have to break the law to get in and out of that situation unless you have like a crane or something.
Yeah.
So
Like a cool car that spins on its axis, or I don't know.
Like a Batman car, or like an
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget car that like shoots up. and
Yes,
spins
that we
around.
need more of those. What's taking society
Are
so
those
long?
street legal?
any other Next Fest mentions here?
I mean, I could probably go forever. I feel like the only fest I want to hear more about is the one happening in Silent Hill.
Frank Howley, what is the good word? Have you modded Silent Hill to get rid of all the fog? Have you put in the clean faces? What's going on?
Although I did mod it, I am playing it in Japanese. It's amazing.
Oh.
Watashi wa
Voice acting?
Yeah, Watashi wa James. It's James Desu. It's awesome. I'm like you start Silent Hill and you see a little mannequin freak run away, and James is like, "Chotto mate," like hold on. And I'm like, yes, I understand. So I'm learning.
Damn, dude, you're picking up a lot of Japanese.
Yeah, no, well, I can get into it deeper, but oh my god, yeah. Okay, Silent Hill 2, I'm very excited. This is not Next Fest, it's out, it's now, it's on PS5 and PC. I got the PS5 version. The history of this has been fascinating because Silent Hill fans are so picky with their remakes and ports and remasters, and even PS2, Xbox versions, and the PC version, the modded PC version, and then the Konami 360 remake that had the Comic Sans. When this got announced like a year ago, people were so hypercritical and like shitting on it. Like, this looks, why is there combat? What, this sucks. It's out to like 12,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Nuts.
So like, also everyone hated Konami for what they did to Kojima. So now it's like, cool. Konami, yeah, I don't know.
Was that a donkey impression, or was that just a general person? It sounds
it's
a bit
a guy.
donkey-ish.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just a guy.
Yeah, but like, so this is out. It's basically doing the Resident Evil 2 thing where it's like, so this is what the layers of Bloober, the Layers of Fear team, I think.
Bloober team.
Yeah, just remaking it, but now for modern audiences, from the twisted minds, whatever. It's so like original Silent Hill 2 is like fixed camera angles. Sometimes it follows, but very above. Now it's like third person over the shoulder, just like Resident Evil 2. There is so much detail. Like, I feel like a lot of the horror in Silent Hill, especially number 1 and 2, comes from kind of the low fidelity of the graphics of the time. It kind of reinforces like games had fog because of draw distance, limited effects of that. Oh no, there's a reason there's a fog because the town's messed up, whatever. Here, everything is so wet and drippy and disgusting. The sound design in this is incredible. I think the original composer is back. The score is amazing, but oh my God, every step you make is like disgusting, like squash, like wet. It's just so gross and great. And like, it is genuinely unnerving. I'm starting to have nightmares of spiders and scorpions.
Oh,
It's just
man.
like, it's like a disgusted putrid game, but it's really, really, really good. There is definitely more emphasis on combat. It has like, you can press circle to like dodge. And so like the timing is fun. They've modernized it, whereas I think before you had to manually equip whether you wanted your melee or your weapon. I could be wrong. Now it's like hold L2 to aim down the sights, R2 to shoot, or if you just want to melee, it's like the Resident Evil 4 quick knife thing. You just you whack it with your pipe or whatever. So the combat is a little bit faster. The first like I don't know. I think I'm at the hospital, but I think in total maybe I'm like 6 hours into the game. I say that I'm going through it very slow, just inspecting everything, finding every little detail. The first like most part of the game, I was even once I got the gun, I just wanted melee because in all survival horror games, I want to spare my resources. But then I got to a point where I had like 80 bullets, and I was like, okay, maybe I can shoot them. And I feel like the game does the thing where it's like once you start to lose items, it'll kind of spawn like here's handgun bullets, medicine. But it's funny in the world of Silent Hill when you find a case of handgun bullets, it's like here's 2 bullets, here's 3 bullets. So it's it's and the same thing with the original Silent Hill 2. You can pick the difficulty. There's 2 difficulties. There's combat difficulty and puzzle difficulty. There's like, easy, normal, hard. So I'm playing normal combat and light puzzles.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, so you can do normal puzzles, hard, whatever. But yeah, it's great. I'm not all the way done through it. I like that I haven't played Silent Hill 2 in like 10 years. I played the 360 remaster and I played it back in the day. So now, so I played it like on Xbox 2002, 2003. It came out 2001, but then I played it in like 2013 and now 2024. So my third trip to Silent Hill 2, but I don't remember the game clearly. I know like the biomes, whatever, the different levels, but like the puzzles, the solutions, the order, I'm getting surprised. I imagine this game too, they padded or included little, just like Resident Evil 2 Remake, like tricks to subvert it. There's something that's so great in this one, particularly compared to like the original, is like, they'll hide characters in this game in such a clever way. I was just in the hospital in the basement. There's all these pipes. And you're walking down, and like one of the pipes will move, and it's a mannequin person because they are colored in pose just like the pipes. And it's like, oh, that happens so much in the game. Or you'll be walking in the closet, and there's just a mannequin, and it's like, wait, is that what? And then it moves at you, and it's it is so good at that. And like, it's not in the overwhelmingly jump scare. It's it's still obvious your radio ticks, and they crawl up behind you, but like, there's roaches, there's little sliding freaks. It's like. There's the mannequins. It's great. It's really, really good. And I feel like everyone was collectively holding their breath. Like, I don't know. And then it was amazing to immediately see the review, like 8s, 9s, 10s. And I think I saw a lot of people on Twitter being like, all right, now everyone's got to, I don't know. It was just,
is that
gotta
the new
apologize
way?
to Blooper Team.
Yeah. Is that the, it's like the game that came out of nowhere that everyone loves was the tactic for a while. Now is it just fucking make everyone's expectations super shitty for years based on a lot of your old work and the way you showed this game for most of its pre-release cycle, and then be like, surprise fuckers, it's good.
It worked. I didn't even pre-order or care. And then I had friends who didn't pre-order it, and then like reviews came out, and then it was like being like not sold out on Amazon, but like, oh, we're not going to deliver it to you the first week or two. Like it was like I wanted to pick it up locally at my Target. It was sold out. Like it was an underwhelming amount of like physical copies printed or released for this because no one was anticipating it. Now people are very stoked on it, which is awesome. And I think like perfect window for this because I feel like we got a Resident Evil last year, right? We had Resident Evil 4 Remake last year. And so it's like, there's no new Resident Evil game this year. So it's like, great, filling that spot. This is the same, third person combat.
Halloween coming up, man.
Right? It's awesome. And then I also hope I'm like, cool, Remake 1, Remake 3. Like, will we get a new, replace Silent Hill 4?
Here's the question, especially because I know Jeremy's a big Silent Hill fan. Yeah. And like, I feel like I've gotten away with this for years because Silent Hill was like, the first two games were good. Then it sort of got a bit weird and all these remakes and there's all this. So I've basically gone my entire life going like, I've played like maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes of a Silent Hill game. I've basically never touched. I played it at a friend's house. I watched another friend play Silent Hill 2 for a little while, but like I thought I'd played more Silent Hill. And then recently I was thinking about it and going like, I don't think I know anything really about 2. I've seen the movie with Sean Bean. Remember that? But I'm not like a big Silent 2 guy. Why is it 2? So I know the later ones aren't as good, but why not the first one? Why did they start with 2?
So 2 is like a complete standalone story. Every game takes place in town of Silent Hill. Silent Hill 1, I feel like also you can beat in like 4 hours. It's a short game because it was a PS1 90 survival. And I feel like 3 isn't. Like, I feel like you need to play 3 in order to complete the context of 1. Like, I think they're pairs.
Right.
So I think 2 works as a standalone game. So I feel like anyone can jump into it. Also, 2 kind of launched at the time of it was like an Xbox launch game, I think, and then was one of like those games that came out in, the whole year of 2001 on PlayStation 2 where they had the insane lineup. So like, I feel like 2 had a wider audience base because it was launched on PS2 and was also multi-platform. 1 was just on PS1 for the longest time.
Right.
And still is, I guess. I think that's why they did 2. And then like 4, I did not like because it's so punishingly hard. The room, the apartment, whatever.
So I'm currently playing 4. I'm probably like 2/3 of the way through, and I love 4, by the way. Like I know it's funny when you look up people like any Reddit thread of like what's the best Silent Hill game. There will be people who say 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the best one. It's absurd how diverse the opinions are on this.
Yeah,
I love 4, but the one shortcoming is that occasionally you walk through a room and it's like, am I in like someone's like Gmod server? There's like 400 fucking enemies in this room. Like it feels wrong. It's bizarre. But yeah, 4 is also really cool for other reasons though. It's very, very strange and different.
I think Frank's convinced me to play this. I've been seeing this for weeks, and I'm like, it's probably still not for me. It'll be one of these games I spend 60 quid on, and then feel bad for a month because I never played it, and then every time I see it in my library, I'll be like, I just wasted all that money. But maybe this is my Halloween game. I don't know. Jeremy, you're a big Silent Hill head. Have you dabbled in this thing?
Yeah, I have. I'm gonna muzzle myself a little bit here.
It's gonna rain on the parade.
No, that's exactly what I'm not gonna do. I think it is a very competently made remake. I think a lot of what I liked about Silent Hill 2 is being lost in translation. I think it is like I'm trying to be very sensitive because, when I was playing when the Elden Ring DLC came out, I had a friend in my friend group who was like, "Man, fucking Dark Souls games are so shitty and overrated," and I was like, I was like, "That sucks, dude. Like, can't you just like shut the fuck up while I enjoy this?" Right. And I never want to be that guy. But I do feel like there's some like, I don't know, obligation to express like a little bit of the fact that I think people should play the original Silent Hill 2 as well. I think if you've played Silent Hill 2 and you want to play the remake and like enjoy the game again in a new perspective, it has some of the original Team Silent people on it, like Masahiro Ito and Akira Yamaoka worked on it. It's unbelievable. It's really cool that they got those people, and I think it's very like it's very true to the original. I think it clearly has a lot of reference for the original source material, which I think if you're going to do a remake, it's the right way to do it. However, I look at what has happened with the Resident Evil franchise, another franchise that I really like, and even though those remakes are unbelievably well done and really good games in their own right, I do think that the number of people playing Resident Evil 2 remake versus Resident Evil 2 is obviously shifting towards the remake, and I think that remakes have this effect where when they revisit an old game that's a classic and they remake it to be more like contemporary games, I think it kind of homogenizes the cultural gene pool of video games. And so having a Silent Hill 2 version that plays like Alan Wake 2, plays like The Evil Within, to me is, I don't know. It's not like erasure of the past, but it does feel like to some extent more people will be like, oh, should I play Silent Hill 2? And they'll be like, you should play the remake. And it will be more people's first initial interaction with that franchise. And then
and I have a similar feeling with the Black Mesa Half-Life thing where I'm like, but Black Mesa's really good. But
exactly.
But play Half-Life first, but also Black Mesa is like, definitely don't not play Black Mesa,
Yeah, I think it seems like Bloober Team did the impossible by making a remake that made people really happy. And so I'm not going to be like a fucking, like, I'm not a contrarian. I'm not like, that game actually sucks. It did not click.
Oh, so you like the status quo? Let me.
Can I sell you on a political
Dude,
party?
you're crushing it at being a
I just
Twitter
think
guy
we need
today.
to pump. We just need to pump the brakes on these remakes a little bit. No, I think
we'll never have a remake again, Jeremy. People will have to fucking play the old version.
Got me, dude. I'm a one-party or a one-issue voter. And
everyone's pumped the brakes about something. You know what I mean? You just gotta fucking find it.
We're moving too fast. Yeah. No, I think it's a great remake. I just personally have reservations about what remakes do to an art medium.
When I think about what you like about these types of games, you know what I mean? Like so often you're on here championing games like Signalis or and those games, like when I think about the games that you like and the aesthetic and the feeling and the not just what's on screen but the context and the what it stirs within you, and then I think about remakes, they feel like they do feel on very different ends of the Jeremy Jane experience ladder, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not even that it's like it's not like even like because you're right 100%, but it's not even like a fidelity thing where I'm like, it needs to be crunchy, it needs to be pixelated, it needs to be low resolution. Like that's part of the Silent Hill experience. That is part of Silent Hill as it exists, in history or whatever, just because of technical limitations, and it does contribute to the overall, gestalt of what that game stands for. That's not a Signalis reference, but it kind of is.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is, I don't know. It's like isn't it like a Brian Eno quote where he says, like, as soon as we can transcend the limitations of any medium, those limitations will then become an aesthetic in the future. I think that you're seeing that with Signalis, and that's why, Signalis is in the top 4 Silent Hill games or whatever ever made, even though it's not a Silent Hill game. So yeah, I don't know. I think people should play remakes and appreciate them. And I think that the other dimension that I had not appreciated until recently is we've been working on the Soul Reaver documentary, and one of the things that they talk about is if in some way a remake is gauging interest for future like new ground to be tread in these series, and so if Silent Hill 2 remake fosters a newfound interest in Silent Hill and it leads to us getting more original Silent Hill games, then I will be happy and it will be a net positive. The only caveat to that is that I hope people make an effort to continue to play the original Silent Hill 2, to champion it, to not see the remake as like a improvement or a replacement for it. Because I do think it offers things that the remake does not.
That's a very interesting final point you're making as well, especially in the shadow of Alan Wake 2, which we know is a game that has struggled to meet, to be a massive financial success, which seems to be the requirement for a lot of big studios and publishers these days. It's hard to tell, obviously, because it's sold on Epic and you can't get that much of a read of sales and stuff. And was it on Game Pass as well? Was Alan Wake 2 Game Pass? It wasn't? Okay. Certainly Frank was saying, 12,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam for a game like this is pretty cool. But I don't know. Yeah, who knows what the budget was for it? But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's an interesting situation to be in, whether or not they can pull this stuff off. It's a little bit shameful. It's a little bit annoying that we keep going back to the well on remakes as well, just because pre-production takes so long and you don't have teams working, like engineers aren't working during pre-production a lot of the time unless they're working on tech stuff, and sometimes they're not if you're just using someone else's engine and there's not that much proprietary stuff you need. It's an interesting time.
I would just like Masahiro Ito working on this game is really cool. I just in my mind I'm like, let that motherfucker work on a new game, dude. Right. It's cool to see him bring new things to this, and they obviously did an insane job, and I'm not trying to discredit that, but get him working on Silent Hill F or whatever the fuck it's called. Where's that game at?
Oh yeah, maybe just a new town. I'm sure there's another. I'm sure the fog has gotten to like
Derry, Maine.
Hope Springs down there. Wait a second.
There is Slitterhead is coming out next month, which I think is like original Silent Hill people working on it.
Oh, neat.
Slitherhead?
Slitterhead.
Oh, is this TH or DD?
TT. Slitterhead.
TT Slitterhead.
Yeah.
God, that sounds like a euphemism. That's
so it's Akira Yamaoka is the composer as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, this is Bokeh Game Studios. I remember the name of this studio being like, okay, there you go. Slitterhead. Oh
yeah, this is Keiichiro Toyama, who did left after the dissolution of Team Silent, did the Siren series.
Oh yes, yeah.
Also, playing Silent Hill 4 and loving it. I can't fucking believe Konami disbanded Team Silent after Silent Hill 4. It's so cool. It's like it's not the best Silent Hill game, but it does like you're like in an apartment and you're like staring out, and there's like it's just fucking it's so different and cool from other Silent Hill games.
They had to build more gyms, man.
The pachinko machines called to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about Metaphor as well, Frank? You've been playing some Metaphor Fantastico.
Before I was out of town, but before I was out of town last week, I did play like half of the prologue demo, which was like I put like 5 hours into the demo of it, and was like sold, very excited, and then I got the game. And I was nervous, like, can I import my save if I didn't beat the demo? It turns out you can at any point. If you make a save in the demo, you can import it to the full version, which is amazing. Awesome. And yeah, I know Jesse and Jeremy did a great job covering it like last week on the podcast as well. As Jeremy said, it's medieval fantasy Persona with all of that incredible animation, production value. Like it's so sick. The unique thing in here that I really like is like the jobs. I love any game that has job systems. Like at any point you can switch classes and you can do the thing where you can like grind that class, unlock a spell, and then put that spell on a different job. So you can fuse jobs and like. And even also like how way your party is, there's also like spells you can do called, I forget what you call it. It's like fusions where, if you have a healer and a knight, you could do a super spell. Like, so there's so many variables, which I'm excited to like, whenever I get a chance to like grind or fight a boss, like what's the unique messed up way you can break the game. What's the class that's like that's OP? Even in the game, you go to like this, like in Persona, I forget what it's called. You go through this door and you're in this like room and it plays the music, and that's where you change your personas. You talk to the old man sitting in the chair or whatever. In this one, it's like a library, and that's like the hall of where you can pick all your classes or whatever. But that guy's giving you little micro objectives like, oh, you should probably level up your healer class to level 10. The first dungeon you go to, everyone's weak to light magic. So the game is very good at guiding you of like, maybe you want to try this class out, wink, wink, which I appreciate. Yeah, it's cool. Also, I unlocked this ability in the open world. You can you ride around on your sword, but it's basically like skateboarding. So your guy is just gliding around, and I don't know if you could jump, do kick flips or anything. Yeah, I think
God,
you
if
can,
it wasn't a Frank Howdy game before, it is now.
right? So now you're skateboarding on a sword, and you're talking to cat girls and fairies and elves, and this is, oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait for Anime Expo. Everyone's gonna be cosplaying. I can't wait. It's awesome. It's really good. So Metaphor ReFantazio. It's
an Italian game.
It's cool. It's yeah. So it's again, it's just the thing where it's like, oh, there's so many games. I know I will eventually get time to play it. The one thing I did, I took my Steam Deck to my friend's house, and like he helped me set up PlayStation Remote Play on my Steam Deck. Oh, cool. So there's an app called Chiaki, Chiaki. It works better than like the PlayStation Remote Play app, and I'm happy because I was like thinking of getting a PS Portal, but now I just use my Steam Deck. So last night I was in bed just skating around the city and talking to cat girls. So it's like, oh my God. It works great. So Metaphor is awesome. I will just need to keep chipping at it over the next year as I play of it. But I really like it. Again, the demo is out. It is a long demo. I didn't even get to the end of it. But if you're curious about it, but yeah, like Jeremy said, like if you like Persona, you're probably already playing this. It's basically a new Persona, the same team. I like that it's a job system. It basically feels like Atlas made a Final Fantasy, and like a true Final Fantasy, not like the weird. I know Jesse loves like 16 and 15, but it's like not the weird. This
I'm
new
called
alternative.
Out. Okay, sorry.
No, but it's the more old school. Like different classes, mages, cat. I don't know. It's a little more old school.
D&D shit. Yeah. In the woods.
It's cool. Yeah.
No, I get it. I completely understand. Like I think Final Fantasy. I like 16. I like 15. I'm a freak. 14's great. But there is a part of me that's like, I just want 17 to be Metaphor ReFantazio. Like, I just want a turn-based, cool action, fun game, or that Claire Obscure 33 Expeditions. Like, just Square Enix, figure out how to make them call that Final Fantasy 17, because we're so back. Like, there's something about turn-based combat that's so much fun if you can find a way to present it visually in an exciting way. Like, it's not a particularly fun gameplay style. You pick an option from a menu and then the thing happens, typically. If you can find a way to make it flashy and fun and add layers to those options, that's where I think Persona has always worked. And Metaphor, I feel like, is even further on that scale of like, how do we make turn-based combat almost feel like action gameplay without totally doing it? I'm not as far as Frank is, but from where I am in the demo, there's so many new tools. Like when you break a weakness in Persona, typically you get another turn. Here you get like half of a skill gem, so you can do another action and then still do something else. So it's almost like a bonus turn, but I think there's more to it later on. There's like a rewind feature that you get right in the middle of fights, so you can like pull it back and see what other things were happening. There's so many different layers to it that feels like it's the next step for turn-based action, which I think is exactly what I want them to do in the future of Final Fantasy. Is my whole point. Square Enix, please hire Atlas. Figure it out.
The other weird funny thing too is like this game has DLC. I think it's $5 a piece. There's like different Persona DLCs. So I have my whole team dressed as the Persona 3.
You're
so
kidding.
they're in the castle. They're all wearing their high school uniforms.
Oh,
That's
and
amazing.
It's like, it's so dumb, but it's
fun,
like,
but it's so
like
dumb.
Right? So I think you could do Persona. I think they even have a Persona 2 pack. Like it's Persona 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's like listed by the high school name. It's like,
that's
wait.
awesome.
But it's like, it's, so it's fan service. So yeah, it's just, I'm very happy. So it even has when you beat a battle, it has that Persona jingle. Because I like the music in this, but it's not the same like city pop jazz that.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually the music is so good, and the bits of music in Metaphor that remind me of Persona, I was like, oh, this sounds like Persona, but it feels like that music was meant for a fantasy world in a weird way, where I'm like, oh wow, this was like, it was always evoking the feeling of like a fantasy game, even though it was like about high school students. Also, you're dressing up your characters as Persona students is just like making this into an isekai. Like you're just transforming your protagonist into. I mean, I guess this game kind of has elements of that already, but still, it's like, yeah, now they're just like normal people who are getting, shit, I can't think of an anime that's an isekai. I don't watch enough anime to make this joke. I'm sorry. I'm pulling back.
Eject.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's one of those games that I'm, it's not for me, but I'm so happy for all of you. Like, I wish I was into those games, but it's great seeing that everyone's having a blast with it. Great month for between this and Dead Rising and Silent Hill. Just like a great month to remind ourselves about some of the incredible games that have come out of Japan in the past 20 years, the sort of contemporary, the like early modern games coming out of that region. The Dead Rising, another game where you can just dress up your person as someone for a different Capcom game. So we're clearly into it. That's all the games for this week. Looks like we got some emails though, Mr. Howley. Why don't you just start reading some?
If people want to email us, write to us at podcast@noclip.video or in our Discord, the podcast chat channel. We had a few questions and comments thrown in. The first is from Mikhail. They asked, what is the best video game related gift you've ever received? Not the game itself as a gift, but something related to a game. For me, it's the Kim Katsuragi jacket from Disco Elysium that my wife got me for our wedding anniversary.
Damn, that's a good one. She's a keeper. I guess you've already stuck a ring on it, so that's pretty good. But damn, that's an expensive jacket. It's probably more expensive now.
How much is it?
I feel like because it was like a partnership, right? They had with a bunch of with that fashion group. They only made a certain amount of them.
Yeah.
That's
they do like
dope.
limited releases and they sell out in like 5 minutes.
Man. I'll go first if no one else is chomping at the bit. I got this is not my wife. This is an ex-girlfriend I had a number of years ago. She got me we had like an Amiga, obviously the Amiga I got when I was a kid. I have a version of it here behind me, this box. This is a separate one from the one I'm about to talk about now, and not the one I got when I was a kid. But at one stage, I had a girlfriend in the past who knew that we had given that Amiga and all the games away to like an aunt of mine, or the machine. And then one Christmas she got me an Amiga in an old box with a bunch of zip sticks and everything. And I was like fucking floored. I was like, that is insanely thoughtful and nice. So yeah, shout out to my ex-girlfriend.
That is a very sweet gift. I'm looking behind me because I feel like a lot of them are on this shelf behind me. I would say I think I got a two-way tie here. So my current girlfriend.
Okay.
It's not an ex-girlfriend story.
Okay.
There were two video game related things that I always wanted and had mentioned, and she has gotten me both of them. One of them was I was obsessed with Squaresoft games as a child before they were Square Enix, and all of my favorite games growing up, except for Earthbound, basically, were Squaresoft games or Nintendo games. And when we went to Square Enix, Danny, in Tokyo, I saw a dude wearing a Squaresoft hoodie. And I was like, holy shit, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, this dude is like representing the old guard. And I mentioned it to her, and she got me a Squaresoft hoodie.
Dope.
Which I'm wearing it in the Signalis video, if anyone has seen that video. So that's like my favorite hoodie. And then the other thing is, when you are writing a letter to Santa as a child to ask him for gifts, I would ask. Well, I literally can't tell this story without breaking the illusion. Santa was never able to get me a stuffed Kirby as a child. I think in the 90s when the internet was a little cruder, I don't think Santa had the...
Nintendo have always been weird about IP. They just don't like Santa using any of that shit.
Yeah, Santa, he doesn't want to violate... He doesn't want to buy like off-brand shit. So Santa was never able to get me a stuffed Kirby. And so my girlfriend has gotten me not only a stuffed Kirby back here, but also a stuffed Kibi, who is the yellow Kirby from Kirby's Dream Course.
Okay.
Nice. My girlfriend, now wife, got me when we were in high school. I think this is before we started dating. My uncle was really sick, and he looked like Wario, I always said. Like, he's got like the mustache, a little guy, like a little stocky guy. He'd be like, "Hey, what's going on, Jess? How you doing, man?" Had a big nose. And I was saying that he reminded me of Wario, and I felt really bad that he was in the hospital. We were gonna go visit him and stuff. And that's the first thing she ever got me, and I still have it. It's up at our house now, but I still have that little Wario from like 11, 12 years ago. So
wow,
it means a lot. Very sentimental.
Yeah. Do you have like a skinny uncle as well?
Skinny,
Like a
tall one.
Skinny, wears purple.
Unfortunately, no. You know what? He didn't make it here over the boat. He didn't get out. He didn't. So unfortunately, no.
Well, you
no
know what they
Waluigi
say,
uncle.
like if you can't figure out who the Wario is, the Waluigi is in your family, it
might be you.
Oh shit! Not again.
Frank, what about you?
I can grab it. Hold on.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
here we
see
go.
it.
What's he reaching for?
Well, it's weird because like I just always buy gifts for myself. I don't have anyone,
Hey,
you know.
Absolutely, you gotta love yourself before anyone else can love you.
But my friend Carlos recently, who works at Sega, they shipped that new Monkey Ball game, and he was able to get me a little the little monkey dude that comes in a ball, and I was like, oh, that's it's one of those things where it's like I wouldn't go out of my way to get this figure. I didn't know this existed. I think Jax makes it, so I think it's fairly accessible to get. But I was like, oh, that's really cool. I think it comes in a ball.
He spins in the ball.
Because also the only figures I ever collect are like anime girls, so it's like okay, there's a little monkey to break the the wall of everything else. But I thought that was really cute, so I don't know. I do appreciate it. Like I do have a lot of friends who are thoughtful and give me gifts or swag from conventions and stuff. So I feel like I've accumulated so much random crap. But yeah, just looking around the room, I was like, oh yeah, that monkey ball's cute. Like. But yeah,
we did. We can't. I guess we can maybe. Yeah, I guess we've. Have we announced this doc? I'm not. Have we? Did we say where we were? No, I don't think we have. There's a doc that we filmed last month that it's under certain interesting circumstances, let's say, and it was the first time that we were at the studio while it was Noclip's birthday, right? It was our 7th birthday while we were there. And sorry, Frank. Yeah, okay. Now remembering. Now I can't say this either because it'll give it away. But I was there, let's say, at this place, and they brought out a cake for our birthday, the Noclip birthday, which was very kind. And then they actually presented us with like a sort of poster, but like made of metal, and everyone we had interviewed had signed it.
Holy shit.
Which I've never seen that before. That was like very interesting and like very, very sweet and heartfelt. There are specific reasons why this particular project might have had that as well that I can't get into right now because I'm not usually one for like getting gifts from the people we're doing documentaries on. But there was a sort of a specific angle on that, which we'll get into in the doc. But yeah, that was particularly sweet, especially because we had done multiple international interviews for this project, and they had brought this around, like it had been in one of the PR people's bags as they went transatlantic as well. So
oh, wow.
I thought that was pretty remarkable. So it's right here beside me, but I can't show it to you because it's a project we haven't announced officially yet, so I can't say it. Frank. What we got?
And this
Jerry,
goes from
Jerry Corcoran. Here's an Irish person.
Jerry Corcoran. This is about Canadian game stores. Heard Jesse and Jeremy talking about long gone game stores, if you remember. So I thought I'd share a few from Canada as well. Jesse talked about Microplay, and unfortunately, their parent company shuttered the chain a few years back, along with the sister chain Jumbo Video.
Oh man,
Jumbo.
Sorry, go on.
However, one lone hero is keeping the dream alive is continuing a single location here in Ottawa. I'm also old enough to remember when it wasn't EB Games, but Electronics Boutique. I used to take my paychecks there from working at a local computer store that worked at Tolga Computers and spend it all on PC games, which they used to have shelves of back in 1999. I'm happy to say that the mom and pop game stores are making a resurgence in the Ottawa area with places like Games Atera, GT Games, and Gaming Kingdom, plus some other guys who run online shops. They focus mostly on retro games and collectibles, but sell new stuff as well. I try to give these places business whenever I can.
Nice. Game Setter is a good one. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Big respect to the mom and pops. Pink Gorillas, we like them. That's a privately owned by a bunch of young people store up in Seattle. They got a bunch of them. Are they all in Seattle? Right?
I think
Washington?
so.
I think so. Yeah. Kelsey and them. So yeah, shout out to Pink Gorilla. And one more email here, it looks like.
Yeah, from Matt Schlebeck wrote in and said, "Hi guys, a game you might not have seen as part of Steam Next Fest from the developers of Blasphemous, a tactical stealth game set in an 18th century Spanish monastery. The Stone of Madness. The more creepy Catholicism, the better."
The Game Kitchen are making another game. I didn't know.
They're cooking.
They're cooking in the kitchen.
I have this
art
downloaded.
style.
I'm ready to play it. It looks really good. I didn't realize it was Game Kitchen though. That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's really cool. They're also putting out like some type of DLC for Blasphemous 2. They announced it last month, I think. So I was on the road and it happened. Oh my God, the animation in this, the cutscenes are crazy. And it's like isometric puzzle game. God, look at the art.
Yeah, the art
gotta
reminds me
check
of
this
like
out.
like Don Bluth animated films
Yes.
from back in the day or something. It's got that kind of vibe. It's really, really cool. This looks
Thief and the
great.
Cobbler looking ass. Almost.
I like how they're doing like hey man, keep it in Spain. Like that's their thing. We just make Spanish ass games, I guess. Coming out of Galicia. Look at that shit. Okay.
Oh, another
Fair play.
demo, by the way, Danny, that I think you should look at the Steam page for. I'm not going to talk about it in the video, but this one,
say the name.
AngelGaze. This is the most Danny O'Dwyer looking
Like
ass
GAYS.
no, GAZE.
That'd be great.
That's a different game.
I feel like that's neon white.
Yeah.
AngelGaze.
AngelGaze.
That was the in development title. Yeah.
Exactly. AngelGaze. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I have this downloaded, but I hadn't played it yet.
dude.
Do you want to record the video tomorrow so you can play this?
Oh my. Whoa. What did you say?
Do you want to record the video tomorrow so you can play this instead?
Dude.
Yeah, we can wait 30 minutes if you want to play this real quick.
Dude. Okay, so what I originally thought was, the art style looks really cool. And then I clicked on one of the art of the picture and I was like, oh, it really reminds me of the game I've been playing recently that I talked about with the text inputter, the text parser. The diamond.
Yes. Crimson Diamond.
Crimson, the Curse of the Crimson Diamond, that was
Something
called.
like
Which I've really enjoyed. And then I went to the next one and I was like, oh wow, that really looks like that's the same font from Monkey Island.
Yeah.
And then the next one was, it just straight up uses Scum. Like it uses the Scum engine, like walk to, push, pull, open, close, look at. Like it looks identical. Dude. AngelGaze. Okay, I gotta get in on AngelGaze. Look at this shit. That's they know exactly who they're trying to reel in with this one.
The colors in this are unbelievable. The like limited palette shots where everything is just blue and there's like one little punch of orange are unbelievable.
100%. And the animation on the characters in this little video is very like maybe a bit more Indiana Jones than Monkey Island, but yeah. There you go. A retro point-and-click adventure in the style of Sierra and Lucasfilm is what they're calling it. AngelGaze. There we go.
What an evocative title.
It's a good name.
Yeah, rolls off the
AngelGaze.
tongue.
I just wish it was GAY. Thematically, it would probably make no sense, but in my head, canonically, it's going to be
AngelGaze, yeah.
AngelGaze, yeah. All right, that's a podcast, folks. Thanks for listening. Hope you got some games to play. If you don't, check out our video on Noclip Crew next couple of days. Jesse's going to be getting that one out. There is a patron show up. Last month was the first month in, I think, 3 years that I missed a patron show because I was not in the country for the month. And I did actually record one on the road. And then I watched it back and I was like, you look so tired. This is not good. People are just going to email in, are you okay? So the patron show is up at time of this going live. We also have a Dear Diary with Charles Cecil. Hey, if you like if you like AngelGaze, and you don't like Lucasfilm and Sierra adventure games, you want to play some Broken Sword, that's your shit. You like some Beneath a Steel Sky, then check out our interview with Charles Cecil, where I talk to basically how he's managed to survive in adventure games for 35 years. They have 2 new Broken Sword projects happening at the moment. They have that reforged one of the original Broken Sword, and they have a new one they're working on too. So very cool to catch up with adventure game royalty, Charles Cecil. Lovely guy. Has a bunch of ridiculous stories. Just the type of dude you wish you could hang out in a pub with for the night and he'd tell you all the maddest shit. So it's a mix for a fun podcast and probably a difficult one to edit, Jesse. So thank you very much for your hard work on that one. And then the 10th episode of our first season of Dear Dwyery goes up next week, which will be with Andrew from Alchemy, all about kind of where virtual reality is at. I have enjoyed VR, but VR has always been this thing that I think people have been like, yeah, but it's not really going to take over. It's not going to be that big. And there's all these technical barriers in the way. And we never got that killer app. And then Half-Life Alyx comes out and it's pretty much the killer app, but it's like, it's a very interesting technology to sort of step back and take a look at. But I don't know anyone in the space who can sort of like authentically speak to like where VR is, where it's going, what the market is. And I've wanted to like sit down and do that conversation for a few years now. So Andrew was he's the type of guy that I can have that conversation with. He's in the mix with VR stuff, but very like sort of down to earth, straight. And also Alchemy have sort of made some of my favorite VR games, like Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator, Cosmonious High, and stuff like that. So yeah, really fun interview, and we'll have that one up next week as well. And get if you want more interviews with developers and whatnot. And that's a podcast. Patreon.com/Noclip if you like the stuff that we do. There'll be a bunch of Patreon. I talk about it in the Patreon show a bit, but there's a bunch of changes coming to the Patreon around the new year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Some other projects. And while we have announced some stuff like the Soul Reaver doc and some other bits and bobs, we're working on a bunch of secret stuff that I think people are going to lose their mind on. I know what Jeremy's editing at the moment is definitely going to be one of those. What I'm editing here at the moment, and also not technically Noclip, a secret tape thing, but the one where we've 3 projects on the run over there, and the one that we're filming at the moment, I know for sure is going to be a pretty cool one. So it'll be fun to spill the beans on that one in about a month's time or so. That's it, lads. What are you gonna do for the rest of your day? Jesse, what's going on up there?
It's still Next Fest time, so check out more demos, do some more housework when I get back. But then next week, when I'm free, I'm finally able to sit down and do it. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, baby. I'm going all the way in. Ooh. I'm gonna beat up Vegeta and others.
Beat up
Goku
Vegeta.
Black. I'll beat him
sentence up. You don't want to mess up. Beat up Vegeta. Jeremy Jane, what about you?
Doing a little color correction for one of our 6,000 projects. Doing a little editing on another one of the 6,000 projects.
Too many.
Yeah, we have an insane. There's a dam waiting to break with documentaries piling up behind it. So yeah, don't get it twisted. We got shit about to. Our shit is about to dump on you. I'm sorry, I was about to do a terrible expression of this. We have exciting
Beating up on
things.
Vegeta and about to dump our shit on you.
Dumping on you. Yeah,
love it.
But yeah, so working on that, and I also need to. Danny very kindly loaned me his old Steam Deck for some travel I have coming up, so I need to set that up. So I'm very excited. I've set it up this morning. I've never even touched a Steam Deck until today. So I'm very excited to transform plain time from boring into exciting.
Exactly. As a fellow flight anxiety, flight boredom person, I was like, I recently bought the OLED from a friend who had also upgraded. I don't know what he upgraded to that he was selling an OLED, but I was like, sure, I'll take that off you. And then I haven't been able to sell the eBay that one because I was out of the country for like fucking 5 weeks. So when you said that, I was like, ding, I have something that you might enjoy. So
it's very kind of you to loan it to me. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Yeah, I hope you're into it. It's everyone. It's like we had the same thing with Frank, where I have my lighthouses up here for the Vive or the Valve Index. Sorry, and we were having a chat a couple of weeks ago while we were on a shoot talking about Half-Life Alyx, and he hasn't played it. And I know you because I think you have my old Index.
I have the old Vive from the studio.
The Vive. Yeah. Sorry. So I was gonna either ship Frank or next time I see him my Index because I need him to complete Half-Life Alyx so we can talk about Half-Life Alyx. And then our other friend Joey who lives up here also. So I feel like we talked about this before. We should have done there should be a service where you could just get access to an Index so you can play Half-Life Alyx. And similarly with a Steam Deck, everyone should just get a go for a weekend and then you can figure out whether or not it's for you or not.
Yeah, Frank, I don't know how much trouble it is, but if you stream Half-Life Alyx, I would watch every fucking minute of that. Yeah. It would be a delight.
That'd be amazing. What are you doing this weekend, Frank? You streaming Half-Life Alyx?
No. Well, tonight I'm going to Universal Horror Nights, which I'm excited for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that will be fun. They also this time they didn't do it last year, but this time the Nintendo World is open during it. So
Are they gonna do spooky Nintendo stuff then?
I don't know. But what I've heard is the Nintendo lines aren't as crowded because people are there for the horror shit. But I'm like, yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy. You know,
You know,
yeah,
it's
like, there's gonna be ghosts and Boo and Bowser.
Yeah.
It's never not spooky.
Blooper
And then,
from Blooper Team will turn up.
yeah. Oh, I hope. Yeah, they make the Nintendo World also Silent Hill. I want to see nurses with the fucked up head wraps. Like, it'll be tight. And then yeah. And then this weekend in LA is GCW Game Changer Wrestling at the Ukrainian Culture Center. If you're in Los Angeles, tickets are still on sale. Come see Rina Yamashita from Japan and more. Very excited.
And fuck Putin.
Yeah.
Also, because
I can't say that because my mom traveled.
I was about to say actually, maybe, is she back? I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it worked out great. She says
Great.
Turkish Airlines is very nice, so good to know.
Shout out to our sponsor this month, Turkish Airlines.
Turkish Airlines. The gateway to the
And
East.
GCW.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. This is my first. I had a kind of a weekend off last weekend, but we were at Renfest and all that shit as well. So gonna just chill out at home. The Petaluma Raceway. The last race was last weekend, so I caught that, which was fun. But no more racing. So I gotta find a new hobby. I gotta find a new reason to be in a field drinking, I guess.
Since we're at the end of the podcast, can I share an absurd dream I had last night that Danny featured in?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, let's go, baby.
Okay, I had a dream that Danny at a normal Monday meeting was like, you guys need to watch this like game announcement live stream that's happening at like 4 a.m. on Thursday. Or, like it was like a weekday. He's like, you guys got to be up at like 4 a.m. And so we all got up. We were all on like a voice call. We all muted to watch this announcement. And we were like, what the fuck is this? And it was a sequel to a game about like diagnosing patients or something, like a doctor game. And I was utterly baffled at why you had ordered us to watch this until at the end of the trailer, it was revealed. This is an FMV game, retro FM game. At the end of the trailer, it was revealed that Danny played the main character doctor in the game in sort of a Matt Berry doctor role. And
like Dark Place?
Yes, exactly, like Dark Place.
Wow.
And there was this line. I wish I had written it down when I woke up, but it was like, I'll paraphrase it. It was essentially, you were like, as a doctor looking at a clipboard, and you're like, the patient is extremely overweight, smokes too much, drinks too much, like listing off all his things, and then looked at the camera and went, just like all of America.
Wow.
And then it was like title drop, and it was like whatever doctor too. What? And then what? And then you unmuted the call, and you're like, so? And I woke up and I was like, that is the craziest dream I've ever had in my life.
Oh my God. What is it? What is it he says?
You were like reading off a patient's rap sheet. You're like, he drinks too much, he smokes too much, he's overweight, just like all of America. And it was like, look at the camera as you said it. And I like woke up laughing because it was so fucking insane. I know writers who use subtext, Jeremy, and they're all cowards. It's exactly that. It was like a perfect, like, yeah, it was insane. I don't know.
Holy shit.
I don't know what I ate before I went to bed, but I think it's brilliant.
We need to make this as like a fan trailer, for Christmas or something, just for the patrons. Holy shit.
It was insane.
Answers on a postcard for what that game should be called, folks. Whatever that is. Oh my God, that's incredible. All right. We got to end the podcast there. Can't get any better than that. Patreon.com/Noclip. See you on the next Crewcast, folks. Actually, the next Crewcast is going to be because we are away filming next week, we're recording it a little bit early, and it's going to be basically a primer for Game of the Year. It's going to be like these are games that are going to come up in our Game of the Year. So fair warning, we are telling you now so that you can go play them if you want to before we talk about them at the Game of the Year. There'll be some stuff that's like super fucking obvious, of course, but there'll be a bunch of other things that maybe you might like to play before we start to spoil it and talk about it in the podcast. If you want to have your own opinion on those games while we're talking about them. So that'll be next week's pod, which will be 198, and then we are coming up on our 200th episode, and we're going to do something fun for that one as well. But until then, enjoy your video games, don't smoke or drink, and we'll see you if you're in America. If you're in the rest of the world, knock yourself out.
It's fine.
Exactly. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.